Hi everybody, welcome to today's session on streamlining end of semester grading and feedback with Canvas. My name is Jeremiah. I work here with the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning at MTU here on the Bishopstown campus here in Cork. So today we are going to be covering a number of different things around feedback and assessment. So here's a quick outline of the session for today. I'm going to review some assignment settings firstly. We'll also take a quick look at the quiz settings, and it's important that you review settings to make sure that your assignments and assessments are set up correctly so that the data that you have in the Grade Center is all good. We're then going to jump into the Gradebook, look at the different settings, the interface and everything there. Look at how you find your submissions and your student assignments. And within that, I'm going to look at Turnitin as well and the similarity report there. We're going to look at the SpeedGrader in terms of giving feedback, like finding the submissions, looking at the different interface in the SpeedGrader, giving feedback there, particularly with a view to thinking about alternative modes of feedback, so using video feedback, for example. We'll touch on rubrics as well. And so hopefully there'll be some other tips and tricks linked into all of that. And then I'll just finish by signposting the various supports that are available to you here at MTU. So with that said, I'm going to jump into the demo part of this session. So here we are in Canvas. This is just a training course that we use here, our TEL Training 24 course. And as you can see here, the home page, as indicated by the course navigation menu here, is set up to bring us straight into our assignments, quizzes, and so on. This is just a course that we use for demoing, so this wouldn't typically be how a course would be presented, but it works for what we're doing today. So as you can see, there are a number of different assignments and assessments set up here. I'm going to work off of these ones here in this section. So as you can see here, there's a bit of information here, a kind of a page, which we can see by the page icon. We have a quiz, which is indicated by the rocket icon here. And then we have an assignment, which is indicated by this assignment icon on the bottom. So a couple of different pieces of content. And this is kind of typically how a unit might be structured. You might have some content in there for the students to engage with, and then the kind of quizzes and assessment parts of your unit. So over here in the course navigation menu, you can see that we have a navigation item for quizzes and one for assignments. We also have grades. That will be the gradebook that we'll look at later on. So if I zoom in there. So if I click into quizzes, you can see that there are 3 quizzes listed here. If I wanted to build a new quiz, I go over to the plus icon over here on the right-hand side, and I can start building out a quiz from here. It gives me an option to choose new quizzes or classic quizzes. I'd normally use new quizzes, but that's up to you, I guess, ultimately. If I go to the assignment section, you can see there's a whole list of assignments here. And again, if I wanted to make a new assignment, I just go to the blue button up in the top right, give my assignment a name, and start building it out. I'm going to review these settings in a minute when I jump into a specific example. So I can build out my quizzes and my assignments in the quizzes and assignments section here on my course navigation menu, but I can also do it from the units section, which is what we're in here. And I can tell I'm in one unit here based on this kind of gray bar along the top, and I can open and close that to see the content that's in there. So if I go over to the plus icon over here, you see I've got a number of different options. I can create a new assignment from within here, and that'll add it to the assignment section as well, all that we looked at a moment ago. Or I can draw in an assignment from any of the existing assignments, as you can see here. So that's really just to show you that you can build an assignment directly into your unit, or you can build them out in the assignments or in the quizzes section. As you can see here, if I choose quiz, you can see it shows me those same 3 quizzes that were available in the quizzes section. I can create a new one from here, or I can choose one of the other 3 that we've already built out. So that's really quickly just to show you that. So before I jump into the Grades Center, I just want to show you the settings of the quiz and of the assignment really quickly. I'm going to jump into the assignment first. So I'm going to jump into my assignment that I've made a little bit earlier here. So if I click Edit this assignment, so this is typically what we'll see. We'll get the assignment name, so name your assignment, and it's important to be clear with the information that you're giving to students so that it's easy for them to find their assignments. It's easy for them to tell what they need to do for the assignment. So, indicating the word count, for example, any other kind of details that they should have, a clear introduction, body and conclusion, or whatever criteria it is that you want to kind of evaluate. It's really important that that's clearly laid out for them from the beginning. Then you can set the amount of points for that assessment. So we typically encourage you to use something like a round number like 100. That makes it easier for the grades to be kind of calculated later on. If you have groups set up, you can designate a specific assignment group. As I said, this is just a test course, so we just have assignments here. We're going to display the grades as points, 100 points. You could change that to percentage if you wanted. I'm going to leave it at points. And then that brings us to submission type. So here you can see if I click on this drop-down section, I can choose an online submission, an on-paper submission, or an external tool. The on-paper submission, for example, might be something that you do in class. It's not going to be graded in Canvas, but you might want to add a column to the grade center that you can allocate a grade to each student for. So that's where you might use the on-paper option. But today we're going to use the online option because we want to look at the SpeedGrader and also Turnitin. So if I scroll down here, you can see there are a number of different options. There is a text entry one. There is a website URL, media recordings, so students can submit media recordings. You could have them annotate a document. And today we're going to look at file uploads. So you notice here, just when I click file uploads, we're going to see an extra box appear down here. And so we now have a plagiarism review box here. So if I turn that off, you can see that disappears. Turn it on, now it appears. So this is directly linked to the file uploads like Word documents and so on. So if I come down to so submission attempts, you can set this to be unlimited or limited. I'd encourage you to use unlimited. This means that if a student uploads the wrong file, for example, needs to re-upload, they can do that. That is helpful in the sense that, if it was limited, they would have to contact you, you would have to open the assignment again, and it just kind of adds just more work for you. So in terms of streamlining things, it's better to use it as unlimited. And Canvas will track the amount of uploads that have been made by the student. So if they've uploaded 3 times, it will tell you that, and it will show you when they've done that. So that's kind of useful. So yeah, set that to unlimited. And then that brings us down to the plagiarism review section. So if I click on this first drop-down menu, you can set it to none, or you can set it to Turnitin. You see there's another option there, which is our original. That's our legacy plagiarism detection tool. So we're currently using Turnitin. That's the tool that we use now. So choose Turnitin, and then you can decide where you want to compare the submissions against: the student repository, the institutional repository, website content, periodicals, journals, and publications. And it's really best to just leave all 4 of these on. If you want, you can exclude bibliographic details. I would just leave that off because you're going to know that the bibliography is a bibliography. Then here you've got an option to show report to students after the assignment is graded, after the due date, or never. I would leave it to after the assignment is graded if you're going to use that. It's not a group assignment. We're not going to be peer reviewing. And then there is assigning access to the assignment. So for our assignment, we want to set a due date. It's good to leave the assignment open beyond that due date so that allows students to submit late. And then if you want to have a grade reduction linked to that late submission, you can do that manually, but it's better to have it open and allow them the option to submit late just in case they have a problem with their internet connection or whatever that might be. You can set it to be available from and available until. So it's important that you just check that you've got all those settings correct before you kind of set up your assignment. And having reviewed those, we're now happy with our assignment. We're going to click Save. And you can see here that I've set up a rubric. So just to show you really quickly, so I'm just opening up a document here. So here you can see that we've built out a rubric, an example rubric here. For anyone who's not familiar with rubrics, basically it's a table, as you can see in front of you, that outlines the criteria that an assessment is being evaluated against. And then, so that's in that vertical axis there, and on the horizontal axis, you can see that there are 4 different points of evaluation. So something is exemplary, proficient, developing, or needs improvement. I mean, you can frame this in different ways. This is just one example. And then you can copy that content into Canvas to make your own rubric. So for example, if I make a new assignment, there's an option, there's a button there to add a rubric, which is how I've done this. So just to show you, I'm going to jump out of this really quickly. So if I go new assignment, test, and I save that, you can see here that there's a button to add a rubric, and that's how I've done that. So you simply click Add Rubric, and then you start filling out these various fields. A couple of options down here to take note of. So once you've built out your rubric, which might look something like this, just returning to my CSV file here, you can see underneath there are a number of different options that you might want to take into account. You might want to add the option to write free-form comments when assessing students. You might want to use the rubric for assignment grading. So today I'm actually going to do that. That's going to be how one of the options for kind of streamlining your feedback later in the session. So I'm just going to jump back over to the original assignment. I just jumped in there just to show you where that rubric was made. And so here we see our rubric. You can see I've assigned a number of different points to that. So kind of 20 to 14 is going to be exemplary. That's going to be our first class honours. 14 to 8 is good, decreasing down. And then we can see what each criteria is weighted. So you can see this instructional design criteria is weighted as 20. The content is going to be 40. Technical skills are going to be 40. And that all adds up to 100. So that makes it a nice and even kind of assessment number. So once you're happy with all that, you can launch your assignment. Sorry, I'm just going to jump back there really quickly. Sorry. So one thing I was going to say, before you launch that, it's good to jump into student view to make sure that the assignment looks the way you want it to look and that it functions the way you want it to function. So you can see up here in the top right, there's an option to view as student. So if I click on that, that shows me what the assignment looks like. I've got my blurb, I've got my criteria, my rubric. And so in addition to the rubric being helpful for you in terms of your assessment of the assignment, it's also useful if you're co-delivering and co-grading with colleagues. It means that you're all kind of singing off the same hymn sheet, for want of a better analogy. You're all grading against the same criteria, and there's no kind of ambiguity or kind of like lack of clarity about, you know, how you're grading. And very importantly, even more importantly, for the students, they actually know what they're being assessed against. So, I mean, there are many reasons to use a rubric there. They are some of the kind of key ones. And so you can see here that in student view, as I can tell by this purple banner along the bottom of the screen, it tells me that I've already submitted an assignment for this. As I mentioned, the assignment settings here are set to unlimited. So that means that I can submit via this new attempt blue button in the middle. And I'm going to do that here just to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to say new attempt. It says the assignment is overdue because I'm after missing the deadline. Do I still want to submit? I'm going to say yes. That gives me a file upload button here. So I'm going to click file upload. I'm going to choose a file. I've got a little assignment document there. I'm going to re-upload, and then the student is going to tell you, or in this case me, my test student account, wrong version, uploaded earlier. Okay, and then before they submit, they have to tick on this agreement that acknowledging that the submission is their own work, and then submit the assignment. And then the first time they do this, they'll get some kind of confetti rain down to indicate that they've successfully submitted. So that's all working. I'm going to leave my student view. And actually, relevant to this, if I look to the very bottom right of your screen, you can see there are two options here. One is to reset student, and the other one is to leave student view. Leaving student view will store the data that Canvas has collected based on me working in student view. So that new attempt, that submission I've made will be saved. If I took a quiz now, that quiz data will be saved. If I wanted to clear those, if I wanted to remove all these new attempts and just go back to a fresh submission, I would click Reset Student. But because I want to demo this and look at it in the Grade Center, I'm just going to click Leave Student View. Just very quickly, before I jump into the Grade Center, I'm going to look at a quiz. So similarly, the quiz section holds my quizzes. I can choose the quiz that I'm looking at. And again, very similar layout. You give it the assignment name. I'm going to give it the number of points. And again, setting your due date, when it's available from and available until. So if I click the Build button, I can see my assignment. I can see the different questions. And notably, the benefits of quizzes is that it will automatically calculate MCQ type questions because you've specified a correct answer, or true-false questions, as is the case with these first two. But this last one is a free text response. So that means that students are going to type their answer. In this case, it'll mean that you will have to go back and look at their response and give it a manual grade. And to do that, in the quiz section here, I'm going to move over along the top navigation here. You can see there's an option to moderate. And if I click the moderate button, that'll bring me into the different assignments. I can see that my colleague Roisin has an attempt in here. It tells me how they've scored. There are 3 questions in this. 2 of them are, one is an MCQ, one is a true-false, and the third one is free text. And so you can see that's reflected in the score that she's got here. I can also see that there's a view log when she looked at the quiz and answered the questions. And also, for example, here you can see on the right-hand side there are accommodations over here. So if you have a student that needs an accommodation, they need extra time for whatever reason that might be, I can set that here. So if I go to Lauren Maher's student account here and click on the pencil at the end, I can offer them additional attempts if they want, which we can see over here on the right-hand side. I can offer them reduced answer choices on the bottom, or I can give them a time adjustment. So if they need an extra, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I can give them extra time there. And then just remember to go down to the bottom right to the apply button here. So now you can see that the student has got an accommodation. They're allowed 15 more minutes for their quiz. So going back to Roisin's attempt here, if I click in here, I can see she got question 1 correct. That's automatically calculated. Question 2 is corrected. That's automatically calculated. And then she's got a written response here. So if I look through that written response, I think that's really good. So I'm going to just tick correct. And you can see it's set up as 1 of 1 point, and that'll automatically calculate. And then I update. And actually, you can see here on the bottom that I can fudge those points if I want, so I can give them kind of additional points to kind of override the formatting that's there. So that results are updated, and I should be able to get rid of that. Go back to moderate, and now I can see that Roisin here has scored 100% because I've had to manually moderate and confirm the grade for that last free text question. So there are just a few details about quizzes and assignment settings and functions. I'm going to jump back now to my course using the return button on the top right. And actually, just worth noting while I'm in here before I navigate away, if I look to the right-hand side here, there's a SpeedGrader button. So there are a number of different ways to get to the SpeedGrader, which is our grading tool in Canvas. Here is one of them. I'm going to use a different one in a moment, but just to signpost that is there in the top right. There we go. So I'm going to click the return button to bring me back to my home screen. So now that we've checked our settings for our assessment and our quiz, our assignment and our quiz, I'm going to go down to the Gradebook. So going back to the course navigation menu here on the left, I click on Grades. And this brings me into the Gradebook or the Grade Center. So there are a number of things to kind of pay attention to here. As you can see, this is laid out in a kind of table format, CSV, spreadsheet type format. I can see the different students on this course. You'll typically have more than this. This is just a test course, as I mentioned. But you can see if I hover over where it says student name, I get 3 dots, which offer me some more functions. So I can sort these by name, student ID, login ID, and I can sort them by order, so A to Z or Z to A. I can also display as first name, last name, or last name, first name, whatever your preference is. I'm going to go first name, last name. And then there's some secondary info. You can add their username on the bottom, which you can see here by listed under the student names there. I'm going to go back to none, and that removes that email address that was underneath. So in addition to that, we have a filters function here. So we can filter by unit, quizzes, and so on. Or we can filter by status, late submissions, missing submissions, resubmitted, dropped, excused, and so on. Or by start and end date. So there are a number of different ways that you can filter these. So if you do have a course with a particularly large cohort, it's worth making use of those filters. You can, of course, also search by student name. So I can search by my colleague Roisin's name here and find her and all the assignments that she has undertaken. So I can simply clear that there. Okay, and then, of course, in the same way that I can search by student name, I can also search by assignment name. And one last thing before I start jumping into the specifics of the assignments, if I go to the very top right over here, you can see that there is a cog. If I click on that cog, that brings me to the Gradebook Settings. And you can see here that you can assign a late policy if you want. So you can automatically apply a grade for missing submissions. You can give them 10% for that. You can automatically deduct for late submissions. You can say like 1% per hour, for example, if you wanted. And you can max out at 40% if you wanted. So I could apply those settings. I'm not going to do that. There's a grade posting policy. It's important to pay attention to this. This should be by default set to manually post grades. If it's set to automatically post grades, the problem with this is that if I grade, let's say Roisin's essay here, as soon as I grade it, it'll post it and she'll get a notification. You know, she could be having a coffee with her friends and then her friends say, oh, you know, I haven't been graded, and they start emailing you and you know, whatever. It leads to all sorts of complications. So we leave it as manually post grades. That means I can grade all of them in my own time, and then when I'm happy, I can release the grades. There's some other options here as well, which are view options. That's the arrangement order. As you can see down here, there are some preset statuses, which are indicated by color. So a late assignment is indicated as blue, missing is this kind of orange, or you can set excused as yellow. So I'm going to close this window now. So if I go back to my grade book, I can see that, you know, Lauren has been excused from this assignment. You know, maybe she sent me an email to let me know that she's unavailable, illness or whatever it might be. And I can see that she's also missed this one. So currently she's listed as missing. If I click on the, sorry, if I click, oh, apologies. So if I click into that cell, I can give her a manual grade if I want, I'm not going to. Or I can click on this little pop-out menu button. So if I click on that, a new menu pops out that shows me Lauren's student details here, shows me the assignment that I'm looking at. Again, I can enter the SpeedGrader from here, which I'll do in a moment. I can give the grade, but I can also change the status. So while it's currently set to missing, because she's been in touch and explained it, I'm going to change it to excused, and I can leave a comment, emailed today, whatever, 16th, and then I can submit that. So now she's been excused from that assignment. So I'm just going to close that window again. And so now looking at our assignment 3 again, I can see that I've already graded this assignment. One is excused. This one is to be graded. This one is graded. And you can see there are a number of different colored flags here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to jump into the SpeedGrader by clicking on one of these flags. So that pops out this window once again. I'm going to click on SpeedGrader, and this opens up the grading, the SpeedGrader. So just to bring your attention to the top of this here, if I want to navigate back to the Gradebook, I can do so by the Gradebook icon up here. There's a cog setting here just to show you different options, keyboard shortcuts, and so on. It's telling me the assignment that I'm looking at. I can see that there are 5 assignments submitted and 3 of them have been graded. Oh. The average grade is this, and I'm looking at Sarah's assignment here. So coming down to the actual assignment itself here, you can see that this has been submitted as a Word document. And along the top here, I can either download the assignment to work locally if I want to, but I'm going to stay working in the SpeedGrader here. I can zoom into it if I need to see it a bit more clearly. And there are a number of useful tools along the top here for annotation. So the first one here is the balloon. So I can say great paragraph. And I can add more comments later. Whatever. Well, signposted and so on. So the little balloons are quite useful in that way. Another way to annotate would be using the highlighter pen here. So I can highlight this opening sentence, and again I can leave my comment. Great opening sentence. I can just add text if I want to. So by clicking this text icon, say this is a well-written essay. I can also strike through something if there's a problem. So strike through and leave a note, whatever, not, whatever. And so in doing that, you can see how I can give kind of point-by-point feedback to my students from the SpeedGrader. So the other option here is, so in addition to this, of course, I can just come straight down, sorry, I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself here. So I'm going to come back over here to the right-hand side, and you can see I've got this window available to me. Again, if I click on the pencil item up on the top right, I can set this as late, missing, excused, none, as it's currently set. Underneath that, Canvas is telling me that I've got a word count of 267 words. So, if students have exceeded the word count, you can easily see that there. And then underneath that, you can see the actual submitted file. So if I wanted to download that Word document, I can do that there. But you can also see this green flag with the 5%. That is where we see our similarity score. And if I click on this, this will open up Turnitin, which is our plagiarism detection tool, in a new window. I think plagiarism detection is a bit kind of almost suggests that you're kind of hunting for plagiarism. I think it's probably better to think of Turnitin in a way as a similarity score tool, which is really what it is. It's looking for similarity of this document with other text documents. And so just because we see red in this document here doesn't mean that it's plagiarized. Some sections of red might indicate, common phrases, or they might be quotations, and the quotations may have or may be missing the quotation marks, or vice versa, or similar. So if I go to the right-hand side, I can see it's giving me some indications of something not being cited. So it's telling me that this red text thinks it's coming from another source, and that it hasn't been properly cited. You can see there's no missing quotations here. Sorry, I'm just over here on the right-hand side. There are no missing citations, and nothing cited or quoted that's problematic. And if I want to see the thing that it's telling me that this red text, this red highlighted text, is potentially copied from, I can click here on the right-hand side, and it says this one is private content. I can't actually see this one. It's probably a student file on, yeah, there it is. I can tell by the red text here that it's a student paper, so I don't have access to their repository, but it looks very similar. And then you can use your own kind of critical judgment to say, look, the sentence amounts of personal data is probably going to appear lots and lots of times in essays about AI. Privacy and data protection as a sentence is going to appear lots of times in essays. So I'm not going to be that concerned about that. So that's not a big red flag to me. So that's just a really quick overview about checking the similarity report using Turnitin in the SpeedGrader. My colleague Dara is going to be running another session on Turnitin in more detail another day this week. So I'd encourage you to sign up for that if you want to know more about Turnitin, or refer back to the videos on YouTube. So now that I've checked the similarity report, I'm going to jump back to my SpeedGrader. And so kind of typically we can just offer a grade here in the right-hand panel. So let's see, I'm going to hide the rubric for a moment. Oh, what did I do? So I'm going to give a manual grade here, so it's 70, and you would give your feedback here, well-written essay, so on and so forth. There is an easier way to kind of give feedback. I think that written feedback is important, but if I wanted to just do it quickly, I can also use down here this very convenient tool. If I hover over this little speaker, it tells me that it's speech recognition. So if I push this button, I get this pop-up window, which allows me to just speak into my microphone as I'm doing now. Let's give it a go. So this was a really, really well written essay. You made some very valuable points. If you keep going this way, you're going to do really well at the end of the semester. Probably not the greatest feedback ever, but it's something. But you can see that that's automatically put that in there for me. So that's a really, really useful tool. In addition to the text feedback that I would give, I can also kind of humanize it by adding a video. And I think this is a nice way to kind of make the feedback more palatable to the students. So, I think something that happens a lot in feedback, especially if you've got a very large cohort of students, is that, you race through the content because you've got so much of it. And so, for example, you might leave a piece of feedback that seems a bit short, or could be misconstrued as being not as nice as it might be. So, for example, actually, let me just choose the highlighter pen. I'm just going to highlight a bit of text, which says balance is paramount. And then I might type in something which makes sense to me, but may not make sense to the student and isn't actually really constructive feedback. So just saying meaningless, and leave something like that. And then, of course, a student might see that and go, they might be a little bit taken aback or whatever it might be. So I think adding video or audio feedback is a nice way to kind of help explain that in a more palatable way. So if I click on this little video icon underneath my feedback, it asks me, do I want to record media? So I can record audio or video. And then I'll give some feedback. Gives me a little countdown. And so this was a really excellent essay. Well done on your work. Good paragraph structure, sentence structure, and so on. Towards the end, you have a little statement where you say balance is paramount. this was hard for me to kind of decipher and understand what you meant in here, so I'd add more clarification if you give a comment like this in the future. But overall, really well done. And so now I can save my media. And then you can see that video is stored here for the student to view back. And I think that's a really nice way to give them feedback. And it's very quick, very easy. So I'd encourage you to do that. One note about the video feedback is that depending on how your external examiner is viewing all the content at the end of the course, it might not be possible for them to see the video feedback. So I would always add your written feedback in some way or other, just to make sure that they've got access to it. So that's kind of the more traditional way of doing it. But because we've added a rubric to this course, as you saw earlier on, we can see that this rubric is listed here. And maybe if I zoom out a little bit, I'm going to pull this window open. Actually, sorry, I graded this already, so I'm going to jump back, view rubric. Oh. So here we can see the full rubric that we set up earlier on. And rather than having to kind of type out all my detailed feedback, if I'm happy that the rubric kind of really explains that, I can simply click on these sections and I can say, this is proficient. I can add another comment, because if you remember, we ticked that tick box to allow us to add additional comments. I can say really strong on this point. It gives it an automatic grade. I can override this to give it a 12 if I want to. I can say developing down here, and if I want to add a content, I could say could be stronger. I'm going to give that a, 16, and so on. And then I could say technical skills needs improvement, and so on. And so if I save that, now you see that my grade has been recalculated based on the feedback from the rubric, and then the student will see the feedback given by the rubric. So I think that's a really nice way of streamlining your feedback, making it kind of more effective and a kind of quicker process. And again, if you're co-delivering your module with somebody else, it makes it more consistent. Students are getting the same kind of amount of information, amount of feedback back from the different lecturers. So I think that's kind of that. And of course, before we finish, we make sure to submit. And actually, just before I submit there, you can see that there's a little paperclip icon. So I could also upload a file attachment. So if you're working in a Word document locally and you want to give them feedback that way, you can upload that as well. So, okay, so now I want to go back to the SpeedGrader. Click back to SpeedGrader here. And over to my assignment, which is over here. And just to show you an example of what a similarity report in Turnitin would look like if it was, copied from something else. You can see here, I've uploaded something on behalf of my colleague Marion here, so she's innocent of this, just to signpost that. If I click on the red flag here, and I click on the SpeedGrader, you can see that this file, which is just an existing journal article that I've uploaded here, it says it's 100% similar to something else. So again, if I click on this, Turnitin will pop open. And of course, we can see that this is, all red because it's, it's an existing paper and none of it is cited or quoted. So just to show you that the similarity report kind of works in that way. Okay, so I'm going to close that once more. Jump back to my grade center using the Gradebook icon on the top left. So just finally then, so once you're happy with all of the grades, if I go to my assignment, which is here, and I click on the 3 dots, that gives me a number of different options. So again, I can sort these by late, missing, excused, and so on. I can open the SpeedGrader from here again. I can message students from here. So this is actually quite useful. So if the deadline for an assignment is coming up, let's say at the end of the day, I can click message students who, and it'll give me a pop-up menu and I can choose students who have not yet submitted, have not been graded, scored more than, scored less than, and I'm going to say students who have not been submitted, which is one student, and I'm just going to say just a reminder, deadline for submission is today. And I can send all those students really quickly just a reminder email to let them know that that deadline is looming. So that's really, really useful. So clicking back into those three dots, let's see here really quickly. I think I have. In this instance, I've already posted the grades. So you can see here, grade out, there's a section that says all grades posted. So let me go to another assignment just as an example. Let's go to our quiz here. So yeah, so I can tell here by this quiz, by the eye with the line through it, that this hasn't been shared with the students yet. I've only graded one of them, two of them are missing, one is excused, but I'm happy to release the grades because I've marked everything and so on. So I click on the three dots here, you can see I've got an option to post grades. And so once I'm sure that I'm happy, I hit post grades. It gives me a little pop-up menu over here on the right hand side. So it says post to everybody or students who have received a grade. I'm going to post to everybody. Click post. And now all my students will have received their grade. So that's how you post your grades once you've finished grading. And I get a little notification up here on the top that says success. Grades have been posted to everyone for quiz 3. And then the final point and the final thing that you need to do, of course, at the end of your module, once you've graded all of your assignments and you're ready to send out your gradebook to MyBan, you need to use the export function over here in the top right. So click export. I'm going to choose entire gradebook. So click entire gradebook. You can see that it's generating a CSV file here, which is a file that kind of a plain text spreadsheet type file. And that's going to open up in whatever spreadsheet tool that you use. In my instance, in the laptop here at the moment, it's using Numbers, the Apple tool. And so here you can see I've got a spreadsheet of all my different assignments, all the different grades. I can rearrange this if I need to, or I can merge it with a larger spreadsheet if there's multiple modules being kind of collated into one document, and whatever that may be. And then once I'm happy, then I can send that to MyBan for final grading at the end of the semester. So that is the kind of full workflow of the gradebook. I think that's everything I wanted to cover today. I'm mindful that I'm kind of running over time now. So maybe just really quickly jumping back to my PowerPoint. So just really quickly to signpost some supports finally at the end. So Canvas has got a 24/7 support function, 365 days a year. This is a tier 1 support option which we have access to, and it's got a live web chat which is really, really useful. If it's out of hours and you just need help with something, your assignment isn't working and you don't know why, you can use that live web chat. I find that's the most effective way actually, or I find it most useful for me at least. You can submit a ticket to Canvas, or you can call them, email them. I'm just going to jump back really quickly here to Canvas just to show you where that is. So if I'm back in Canvas, over here on the left in the global navigation menu, if I scroll down to the very bottom, I can see there's a help option. Click help, and I can see there's access to loads of resources here about using Zoom, Canvas's own guides, which are really, really useful. And here is the option that I was just referring to here, which is web chat with Canvas support faculty option. If I click that, I get a pop-up window where I just add my name, my surname, my email address, the subject matter. The email address is important because if you get dropped off the chat or whatever, they can always follow up with you, and they'll send you a transcript, I believe. And then you indicate your role, which is faculty. And then you indicate the priority of it, so I can say, I can't get things done until I hear back from you. Start chatting, and then you can chat virtually immediately with somebody, which is really, really useful. So that's, if there's only one takeaway today, that's a good one. So then in terms of more local support, if you have MTU-specific issues, you can email servicedesk@mtu.ie. That would be around enrollments, which is the MyBan team, account access, TEL requests, and so on. So you can email Service Desk for that. And then finally, our own TEL website. You can see the domain name, the URL up on the top right-hand side. It's tel.cit.ie. That'll bring you to our website. This is really useful. I'd encourage you to bookmark this. On our webpage on the top right-hand side here, you can see that there's a Canvas login. There's also a Zoom login, so it's quite useful. And then down here on the bottom, you can see there's staff resources, a listing of upcoming training sessions, and so on. So loads of great resources there as well. As I said, that's tel.cit.ie. And then also our YouTube channel, which you can see here on the bottom. So all of these training sessions are streamed out to YouTube, and then we archive them there, so you can always come back and view that at a later point if you wish. So just finally, a couple of points to kind of bear in mind as you're running assessments. It's important to communicate all of the relevant information to your students, so make sure the students are aware of the date and time and the duration of the assessment, including when they can assess it. If there are any special instructions, make sure that that's available to them, that information is there. And also how to contact you before or during the live online assessment. So I think it's important that if there is an issue that happens when the assessment is running, that you are available and there is a way to contact you or one of the members of the teaching team. Just a couple of reminders again, then also to check to make sure that your assessment is published. So again, that student view option on the top right-hand side of Canvas is really useful in the sense, once you've set up your assessment and when it should be published, if you jump into student view, you'll easily tell if it's accessible to the students or not, and you'll be able to see what they see. Making sure also that in your assessment settings that the available from option matches the planned sitting time for your assessment. And is the until date going to cut off any students prematurely or unnecessarily? So that's really about checking the available from and until dates. And as I mentioned there, looking at the assessment in the module from student view is a really quick way to make sure that everything is set up correctly. Can the students see or cannot see anything that they're not supposed to? And have you previewed the quiz from your from the quiz environment? So again, doing all that in student view, that's really, really important. So I think I've kind of ran over time. I'm going to send out a follow-up email and address some of the questions that have come up in the Q&A. So you should receive that probably tomorrow. And other than that, just to say thank you to everybody for joining the session. Thanks for your attention. Do jump onto the TEL website to look at upcoming training sessions. You can email us at edtech.ie. Our website there is tel.cit.ie. If you use Blue Sky Social, we're there. And you can find us on YouTube by searching Technology Enhanced Learning MTU. Thanks, everybody. Bye.